Excellent. Let's go. Tom, welcome. Thank you for coming. Really, my purpose of having this interview is drawing people together who have had real rapid recoveries or long-lasting recoveries from certain chronic conditions. And I personally want to see if there's a theme running through them.
Sure.
So, I've known you for years now,
yeah.
and I've got a rough idea of where you were and where you are now, and I've watched some of your videos in between. So, how about if you just mention kind of at your worst, what kind of health problems did you have? When was that kind of the years, and kind of what your day-to-day life was like?
Yeah. Sure. So I would say building up to 2012. So it would have been about 6 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
Coming up to 2012, I was working in a family business. I am the youngest I have a brother, and I'm working with my dad. And so I was working in a family business, I thought I was happy. I was working full out 6 days a week, and then in the evenings I would go to the gym. I would be doing motocross on the weekends. I was going full out. I was using my body, and my physical expression meant a lot to me. Like work, I was happy to go to work as long as I could do all the other things outside of work. I started to have some back issues. So I actually had a fall. I was into BMXing, and I had a fall on a BMX, and kind of put my back out. Went to work. Part of my job was to lift. I had built a good relationship with my dad and my brother, which I hadn't had before. So I'd actually gone to work to actually become successful in myself and improve my relationship with my dad and my brother. So I'd kind of worked really hard towards that. I'd been there about 3 years. Things were going well. And then this back problem came up, and at first it was a bit like, oh, he's buggered his back up, you know, and it was a bit sort of, I was like, oh, you know, bit of a joke. 6 weeks later, it took about 2 weeks to get better. 6 weeks to 8 weeks later, happened again. I twisted it somehow doing something on my motorbike, I think. And then it was a bit like, oh, bloody hell, you've gone and done that again, so you're going to be out of action again now. I was sort of, well, you know, things happen, you know. And then it kind of kept happening, and every time it happened, it would last a little bit longer, and I would get a little bit more grief for it. From family,
right.
From work, like, you know, it became a bit more of an issue, and so it was putting a bit more tension on me, and I started to notice that I was starting to feel a little bit disempowered from the whole scenario. I was like, bloody hell, you know. And this kind of went on for 6 months, and it actually got worse and worse until. I think it was building up to 2000. It was 2012 when it started happening. I think it was 2013 when I went on a skiing holiday, and I actually got a lot of grief for going. You know, it was like, why would you go on a skiing holiday? This was from family. Why would you go on a skiing holiday if you've got a back problem?
Right.
I said, well, you know, it's you know, I'm managing it, sort of thing. You know, and I'm all right about it. I think secretly I was really looking forward to getting away. Do you know what I mean? And so I don't want to make this too long a story, but this continued to happen over 6 months, and I felt as it got worse, there was more pressure at work, and then I just felt completely disempowered. I started taking a lot of ibuprofens, then I started taking codamine or whatever it's codamol, and I literally couldn't walk. I had to sleep at my dad's. My dad lives just down the road. The work was next to work, so I had to sleep there. I was walking along to work, like it took me about 20 minutes to take a 5-minute walk to work, and I couldn't sit down, so I was standing up all day. And this just went on until the point where I literally broke down at work in tears because I just couldn't do anymore. And then that was the point where I left work. I was looking for someone to recognise that I had a very big problem with my back, but it was like no one would recognise it. So I was looking outside for someone to say, look, you're not well, you need to go to hospital or something. So I went and had MRI scans, and this turned into having 6 months off work and 3 months, I was 3 months in bed solid. And then that was when I decided to go down. That was actually when I started to realise that there was a lot of stuff going on emotionally that I hadn't dealt with. And I started to really see that I was actually happy in bed, not being able to move, because I was stress free. No one was giving me any grief.
So was this kind of 2013 now?
Yeah, this was going from 2013 into 2014. It was 2014, in January of 2014, when you came to see me for the first time. So this was like the last 6 months of the last 6 months of 2013 was when it was all kicking off.
Right.
And that was when I wasn't really dealing with it. Yeah. And then it was 2014, I actually had a dream. You came and helped me out in a dream, which twigged me to give you a shout.
Yeah.
And so I got in touch with you, and that was when we started to really go into the emotional stuff.
Yeah.
At the time, I was unable to really do anything. I couldn't sit down. I was struggling, and I think with the John Sarno back pain book and everything, and all the work we did, I think I was up and about within 2 weeks, and I was back. We'd done a lot of work in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I remember. So, like, what was your prior to that? Were your main symptoms just back pain?
No, I had a lot of other things going on. I had nosebleeds, and I had a little bit of like conjunctivitis. I had a lot of back pain, like all over my back, muscular. I had a lot of tension. I had a lot of foot pain. Tension underfoot pain. I had some stomach issues, some heart palpitations. This was all coming up around this time. It was really being amplified around this time, you know. It was sort of all coming up here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, we've done some work together.
Yeah.
But then there was a point where we disengaged for that work.
Yeah.
So then what happened after that? What did you do next?
So next I decided that I would go back to work. I was tempted not to. I was tempted to take a change of course and go somewhere else, because I realised how unhappy I actually was at work and what was going on in the family dynamics. But I then decided that I would do the kind of honourable thing, and I chose to go back to work and bring someone in to take my place. I went back to work for a year, and immediately after about 6 weeks I started to feel this pain coming back in again. Right. But because I understood where it was coming from, I was able to handle it without letting it go too far. I kept reading the John Sarno books, and kept sort of keeping that there. So I was managing it, but I hadn't gotten rid of it. I hadn't dealt with it, you know. It was still a lot of stuff there.
So you could recognise what was causing it, but not really dealing 100% with the cause.
I was too scared to go into the fear. I could feel that there was a fear, emotion there that I was too scared to go into. Yeah. And I used yoga to keep the energy moving through my body, to keep some flexibility in my body. And the yoga teacher said, had I ever seen someone recommended craniosacral therapy, which was like, I don't know if everyone's the same, but basically it was like going into meditation and letting the emotions come up, but in the facilitation of someone else. Right. I couldn't do that alone, because as soon as I started to feel uncomfortable, I'd be like, this is stupid, I'm stopping. Right. But to do it with someone, that was when I faced those emotions that I was too scared to face. They came out. Yeah, wow. And that was massively part of the pressure that was inside of me that I couldn't face. Yeah. The suppression, for sure. Nice.
So what kind of year were we in? Because we're in 2018 now.
Yeah.
So where did that take you up to?
That was taking us into 2014. Where I got back to work and did like a year, maybe a bit more, and then during that period of time, I was gearing myself up to leave work and go full board into natural healing, but actually to move to the other side, to Bali, actually over to Bali, and that would have moved us into 2015.
Big decision then.
Yeah. It was a big decision, yeah. I was kind of leaving everything behind, getting rid of all of my items, and going for a complete new... It was detachment from what was causing the pain for me. I needed to get away from it, so I could get away from living in it, so I could get away from it and actually deal with it in some space. I knew it was still there, but I wanted space to do it. I couldn't do it in the dynamics of a family business and work, so... Right. Yeah.
So it's changing the environment to kind of deal with whatever was causing the pain and symptoms.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. yeah, it was. I couldn't actually change I couldn't change the scenario, so I had to change the environment, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to get myself out of there.
So change what you can.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and change was the most important thing. If I hadn't have made changes, then it would have just carried on.
So that leads me to my next question then. So you already mentioned change. In that journey, when did you feel, so let's say we're in 2015 now, when did you feel that, actually, do you know what, I'm healthy, I feel good?
It did actually take me a while. I was heavily into bodybuilding before I was doing that, and although I thought I had a healthy diet, I still wasn't that. I had a lot of acids in me, like, a lot of unhealthy foods. I needed to clear out, basically. I needed a detox. So when I got to Bali, I started going on to an alkaline diet and working on myself, on the physical body with the food and the alkalizing foods, but also the emotions were coming out at the same time, and the programming and the traumas were all coming up. So I worked on that deeply for about 9 months, and it was quite an up and down road. But that was when I started to feel like, okay, I'm on the right track now. This is where I need to go. This is what I need to follow.
Did you feel the foods helped the emotion come out, or do you think the emotions had an influence on the foods you were eating?
I think both. I think if you're choosing to eat foods that you think are good for you, then you're choosing to honour yourself in some way. You're choosing, and then emotionally, if you feel good and you're honouring yourself, then you want to eat foods that make you feel good. So they kind of connect. Energetically. When you're in a good state, I think you eat a lot more healthily. So I definitely,
I agree.
To help each other that way. But that led me. I mean, for me, it was about how do I find my power, because this whole situation was disempowering. So how can I find my power without looking for my power through the eyes of my parents, or successfully looking for it. I needed to find my own power, my own strength. And then that was when I realised that this kind of health thing and all of this like journey that I've been on was, there's other people going through this, and perhaps they could do with some assistance.
Absolutely.
And with the books and the reading and the diet and the health and the alkalinity and everything, I decided that not really anyone around me was really listening to me. So I need to express myself. So I started to do YouTube videos, and that felt good. It just felt good, and that was the most important thing. I felt good. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think doing YouTube videos and expressing yourself via media, was that kind of therapy for you?
It definitely was. It was like having a diary. But like having information that felt like someone else could benefit from it. So it's kind of like a win-win situation, because you had information to let go of, but to also, if someone else wanted to choose to listen to it, they could choose to listen to it. So it was empowering in that. It was like a letting go and an empowerment in the same thing.
Yeah, that is a win-win, isn't it?
It is a win-win. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And so, like, we've gone through 2015, 2016. Is it about that time where you feel, actually, I've got my power, I feel healthy, I feel good?
Yeah, I started to feel good, but I did revisit a few. I had a few back problems come back, and I had to revisit it. I came back and spent some time with my dad, because I wanted to sort our relationship out. And an old pattern came through then. And that hit me hard. My back went out big time, and I hadn't had any back problems for a couple of years.
Wow.
And it was so severe, and I had to come and see you, and we went straight back into it. And what had taken me what had taken sort of 3 years to get through, we were through in 4 days. And I was back doing yoga on Monday after not even being able to walk. It was quick, but it was powerful. And each time I'm presented with it, I now know for a fact that it's a mental and emotional suppression and a combination of those two, where the tension really is,
So you said that with some kind of force there. I know for a fact it's a kind of mental and emotional thing. So if you when did that become a fact for you?
It became a fact when I had to go through it the second time. It was a fact when I went through it the first time, because I had to believe it, because it worked. It changed my life. And then when it came back to me, I needed to be reminded of how powerful it was.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't going to go away until I believed it, because belief is isn't it? You have to fully believe it. We were sat down here. You took me out into the on the punch bag.
Yeah.
I was scared to move my body. We let a lot of stuff go, and I just trusted. There was a trust there that if I don't trust in it and go for it, it's not going to get better. Why not try it? You know. And then it was like I had to really just fully go for it and believe it before it got better. I had to believe it before it got better. I had to already be better in my mind. I had to take control over the situation.
Take control.
Yeah, big time.
That's powerful.
It was powerful, yeah, and it worked quick, but it wasn't. It was. I had the hard part was still feeling the pain.
Yeah.
And still being positive, like, nope, I'm good. I'm getting there. It's happening. I'm well. I'm healthy. You know, and really, really believing that was going to happen, and it happened quickly.
So what does that take then from someone who's experiencing chronic pain to kind of feel the pain, but also take control and say, do you know what? I'm doing this. I will get better. What's that like?
It takes a lot of willpower.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a lot of willpower, and it takes a lot of. It's powerful to do it. So it's like you have to want it, don't you? You have to be ready for it, and a bit of discipline. A bit of discipline helps. I think, yeah.
So it sounds like from the outside, and as I say, just kind of watching YouTube videos and seeing you every now and again, that your journey, which is taking you all over the world.
Yeah.
What are the kind of the most valuable skills you've learned from your journey?
Power comes from within.
Yeah. Power
comes from within. One of the biggest, for me, a lot of this is to do with self-empowerment.
Yeah.
You know, and the trick of how we look for it outside of ourselves. So my main message to myself is to continue to be self-empowered, and from that to inspire others. You know. Yeah. We spoke about a win-win situation. Yeah. When you find that power from within and you don't look for it outside of yourself, it's free power. So it's a win-win for everyone. It's an inspiring power. Yes. So my main thing is to keep honouring that. Yeah. You know, and always do things for myself, not for how other people see me. And I know when that's working, because it feels good. You know, you feel empowered. So that's my main one. But looking after ourselves, number one. You know, putting ourselves first, not our egoic self or our, you know, how we're seen by other people, but truly our true selves, putting ourselves first, being ourselves.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what kind of things do you do to maintain that now?
So I'm quite lucky because of where, you know, because I'm living away. I have a lot more time on my hands, and I have like-minded people around me. I like to do practices which keep me focused on how I'm feeling inside. So I like to do yoga.
Yoga, yeah.
I like to meditate and sit with myself. I like to take time to be with myself and check in with myself. How am I doing? You know, what's going on with me right now? And I know that if I can't be with myself, there's something's stopping me. If I'm too busy and I'm looking for something to do, I know I can't be with myself. Yeah. And that's usually like, okay, I need to go and be with myself for a time. And after being with myself for a certain amount of time, I'll get the answers. Yeah. They're always there, but it's like whether we want to look at them or not. That's how I feel sometimes.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating. If someone was watching this video now who's experiencing a chronic symptom, chronic pain, don't really know what's going on, and you had one piece of information to give them, what would you say?
I would say, don't let the fear get in the way of moving forward. Because it's the fear that holds us back. Yeah. And it's the fear that stops us from finding that flow of energy that we need in our body to be healthy, to be well. So for me, it was that. It's like, definitely don't let the fear take you, like, you know? Because a lot of people know, They know secretly that there's something inside, and they know that that's what it is, but they don't want to face it.
No.
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
And bit by bit, you get to it, you know, and you get through it, and it was never a big deal.
Mm.
It feels like a big deal because it's trapped inside, but it's not. And once it's out, it's like you can be so much more.
Yes.
And you can be so much more happier.
Yeah.
And then you can do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And be who you want to be.
That's empowering.
Yeah.
That's very empowering.
Absolutely is.
Brilliant. Are you okay to kind of end it there?
Absolutely. Yep.
Thank you so much for your
Thank
time,
you, mate.
Tom, and I'm sure someone out there is going to benefit from this.
Cool.
Thank
Hope
you very
so.
much.
Thanks, mate.
Pleasure.
Nice one.
Pleasure. See ya.